morning, everyone. It is Thursday, May 23rd, approaching 9 p.m., and welcome into tonight's video weather discussion, where we are going to have an update on another round of severe weather potential coming in here for the state of Illinois as we head into your Friday. Starting off here tonight with a wide view of the radar here across the United States. And this is going to show you a couple of things. It's going to show you that we do have a developing storm system up here across the high plains region. There's a cold front that's going to really start to kick eastward from this storm system as we head through tonight. And of focus for us is going to be this big complex of severe thunderstorms that you could see here across central Nebraska right now as we approach 9 p.m. tonight. Because what is going to happen is, as we move through the overnight hours tonight, this complex of severe thunderstorms is going to further grow, and it is eventually going to move eastward through the night and into early Friday morning, taking it across the Omaha area, through Iowa, the Des Moines area. So by the time we get to tomorrow morning around sunrise, it should kind of be right out here in this kind of area of Iowa out here by tomorrow morning, sunrise tomorrow. And that complex is of note because in some fashion it will linger into part of the morning and midday hour tomorrow. So it's going to start off here tonight, and it's going to clip into parts of northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin as we go into the time frame of Friday morning into the middle of the day on Friday, but it does look like it may be in a weakening phase by then, and I could show you all of that here on a couple of the weather forecast models just to give you an idea of what we're expecting here. So as you can see here, way off to the side of the screen, there is that big complex. It's known as an MCS, or a mesoscale convective system. Pretty much a fancy name for a big complex of thunderstorms. In this case, it's expected to be severe thunderstorms overnight tonight. And you're going to notice how this complex is going to move off towards the east-northeast as we continue through the morning. This is right around 6 o'clock in the morning here, as I mentioned, expecting it to be in central Iowa right around sunrise tomorrow morning, moving through the Des Moines area. Probably will be severe at that time still. And then as we continue on into the morning here, you're going to notice this is right around, this is about 9 o'clock in the morning here, roughly 9 o'clock in the morning. That's an estimate, but you can see that complex of what still could be rain thunderstorms, maybe a couple of severe thunderstorms moving into the Dubuque and the Quad Cities area. That's a time estimate, maybe around 9 o'clock in the morning. But it is in a weakening phase because as we go through 10, 11, and noon, you could see that complex eventually makes it up here into parts of Wisconsin and northern Illinois as it continues off towards the east-northeast, but in a weakening phase. So that first complex, as we go backwards in time here just a little bit, that first complex could bring some rain, thunderstorms, and maybe some isolated severe weather activity to northern Illinois and for you folks in southern Wisconsin here as we work through Friday morning and into the middle of the day on Friday. Now, in the wake of that complex, there's going to be sunshine, there's going to be moisture moving northward, destabilization occurring, instability increasing as well as this cold front sweeps into the region here. And that is going to allow for a new round of showers and thunderstorms to develop out here across Iowa, parts of Illinois, down into Missouri, around the middle of the day, maybe early afternoon here on Friday. And once that second round of activity develops, you can see how it becomes quite potent looking on this particular model here as it then sweeps across portions of northern and central Illinois here during the afternoon hours on Friday, and then also even continuing through the evening here. You could see some activity scattered all about different portions of the state here. So the gist of it is, flipping over to our forecast here, this is our updated severe weather forecast. You can see we are going to be dealing with a severe weather threat across the state of Illinois as we move through your Friday. This is pretty much from Friday morning through early Friday night. So once again, this is pretty much from Friday morning through early Friday night. And this activity, like I said, could be 2 rounds of activity. We could see that first round of activity kind of up north here with maybe an isolated severe weather threat during the morning and midday hours across parts of northern Illinois, eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin. And then that second round of activity will likely get developing out across eastern Iowa, northwest, western Illinois, back into Missouri. And then once that second round develops, it'll quickly move off towards the east across the state. So with that said here, like I said, severe weather threat across the entire state for Friday, from Friday morning into Friday night. Up here across northern Illinois, it's pretty much that whole time frame. Friday morning until Friday early night across that region. Further to the south down here, it's probably more so midday Friday into Friday night down across these areas down here. But as you can see, we have a level 1 to level 2 severe thunderstorm risk in place across the state. Now, for you folks down here across southern Illinois with that level 1 severe thunderstorm risk, that essentially means you could see isolated severe thunderstorms down across that portion of the state. For the remainder of the state, in this green shaded color, all northern, all of central Illinois, that's a level 2 severe thunderstorm risk. That means slightly higher coverage of severe weather possible, more on the order of widely scattered severe thunderstorms being possible across northern and central Illinois. Another thing you might notice is this little area out here, this big area, I should say, with these little dashed lines. That's what we call hatching. If you look down here, on our legend at the bottom of the screen, out here where this hatching is, that means there could be a couple of significant severe thunderstorms that occur. And those would be capable of producing maybe some significant damaging winds or corridors of significant wind damage. So all in all, severe weather threat across the entire state for Friday. Once again, if you're up here across the northern part of the state, it's Friday morning through early Friday night. If you're down across the southern part of the state, it's midday Friday into early Friday night. Now, in terms of threats for your Friday, with the severe weather being possible, damaging winds will be the biggest threat on Friday, but secondary risk of some hail and maybe even isolated tornado potential, especially kind of up here in this corridor. I'd watch for that isolated tornado potential, but without a doubt, damaging winds will be the greatest threat with any severe weather activity that's going to be seen across the state for your Friday. And once again, southern Illinois, level 1 severe thunderstorm risk. That means isolated severe thunderstorms possible. Northern, central Illinois, level 2 severe thunderstorm risk. That means we could see widely scattered severe thunderstorms being possible. So with that said, let's jump into the video chat tonight to get to some of your comments and questions. Jose checking in from the Rockford area. You could have 2 rounds of thunderstorms in your area. You could have a round of thunderstorms in the Rockford and the Quad Cities area for that matter. The first round could be during the morning into the middle of the day, maybe an isolated severe weather threat with that activity, then potentially a second round during the afternoon and evening for your area up around Rockford, and that could have a severe weather threat along with it as well. Lisa checking in tonight from the St. Clair County area. You'll also have a severe weather risk, but yours will be more so as we head into tomorrow afternoon into early tomorrow night. You should be all clear during the morning hours. See Sherry checking in from the Stickney area. That's around the Chicago metro area. You'll also have a chance for maybe 2 rounds of activity, though the first round really could be weakening as it tries to move towards the Chicago area. But yes, widely scattered severe thunderstorm threat in the Chicago metro area. We have Curtis checking in regarding Sunday. There is another storm system that'll move in for Saturday night and Sunday, and it will be a severe weather producer across the state. We'll start to touch more on the weekend potential as we get into the day tomorrow and sort of get past the severe weather threat coming up for tomorrow. Danielle checking in from the Quincy area. You are also under the severe weather risk, as you can see here, a level 2 severe thunderstorm risk, widely scattered severe thunderstorms possible anywhere from about midday into the afternoon, early evening hours for your neck of the woods down there. Kay checking in from the Kane County area. You have outdoor activities this weekend. Saturday should be good. Saturday is going to be a nice day across the state. However, Sunday is going to be very, very stormy. Going to be seeing severe weather across the state. Like I said, we'll start to talk more about the weekend as we get into the day tomorrow. Justin checking in from Caledonia, Wisconsin. And I actually have to look that one up because I'm not sure where that's located. And it looks like you're actually just over the border, pretty close to the Racine area. So you're just at the top of the screen, kind of way up here. We have you also in a level 2 risk up there, borderline level 1. You could see 2 rounds of activity, maybe a round in the morning, midday-ish, and then maybe a second round during the afternoon and evening as well. Margot checking in here, wondering if the hatched area out here, if this hatched area for significant severe is for significant tornadoes. No, this hatched area, as is mentioned down here in the description, that is for the opportunity for maybe some significant damaging winds. But with that said, this is also the area that I would look out for the best chance of maybe seeing an isolated tornado threat as well across that area. Janet checking in from the Taylorville area. That's down here towards the southern part of the state. Your risk will be more so during the afternoon into the early Friday night time period down there for you folks in that part of southern Illinois. Tasha checking in from South Roxana. If I remember correctly, that's down around the St. Louis area, I believe. Your threat will also be more so midday into early Friday night as well. Also, we have, I just saw it, Ashton checking in from the Davis, Illinois area. That's up there in Stevenson County. You could get potentially 2 rounds of activity up there during the morning, the midday. That might be the first round. The second potential round could then be during more so the afternoon hours up around that area. And the same kind of goes for, see someone checking in from the Prophetstown area. I know that's kind of out around this area here. Kind of the same answer as the fellow checking in from the Stevenson County area. The fact that could have 2 rounds of activity. The first round maybe during the morning, midday, and then potentially a second round midday, afternoon out across that area as it looks at this point in time. See a couple folks tuning in from the Chicago metro area as well. Once again, the Chicago area, you may get that weakening first round later in the morning, midday, but it does look like it'll be weakening, and then you could get that second round potentially midday, afternoon-ish kind of time frame as it looks at this point in time. Eric wondering what the rainfall totals are going to be like. These storms are going to be moving fairly quickly tomorrow, so we don't expect to see excessive rainfall anywhere. This is the type of year where some areas will get very little rainfall and other areas will pick up a quick inch of rain. That's kind of how these sort of situations work out once we get to the summer months, and we're pretty much knocking right on the door of that right now. Lisa checking in from Bureau County. Yep, you're in that level 2 severe thunderstorm risk for tomorrow as well. Potentially up to 2 rounds of activity for your area. Jessica checking in, heading from Stillman Valley, which I know is out here in Ogle County. You're going to be heading towards the Quad Cities area. You could be dealing with, you could maybe run into that first round of activity as you get towards the Quad Cities area, so I'd be on the lookout for that. Jay checking in, wondering about travel from O'Hare at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. You could have issues, potentially. I'd keep an eye on the weather conditions, because if that second round of storms does move through, as is possible at this point in time, it could be even lingering maybe into that time frame as well. All right, here, let's try to get to a couple more comments and questions. See a couple more folks tuning in from the general Chicagoland region. See K Metz on YouTube here. Carla checking in from Morris, Long Grove, Vernon Hills area here. Brian from Grundy County. See Lori up in Capron. That's up there near the Wisconsin border. Jeff checking in from Palos Park tonight. How's it going, Jeff? We got AJ in Schaumburg, Christine in Aurora, Blake in Pontiac. All of you folks pretty much in northeastern Illinois, if you're around those areas, like I said, Chicago metro area. That first round of activity during the later morning, midday, may try to make it in, but it may be in a weakening phase, and then we'll watch for potentially a second round of activity more so during the afternoon and into the evening for you folks out there in northeastern Illinois as well. Continuing on here, Jeanette checking in from down in Kewanee. Not far from the Johnson Sauk Trail State Park, I know, is out that way. Visited every year out there. You're also in line for that severe weather threat out there as well. The first round of activity may stay just to your north out there, but it'll be close, and then you could definitely see that second round of activity more so midday through the afternoon hours as well. Marty checking in here from Janesville coming into Elgin. You could be dealing with maybe 1 or 2 rounds of activity as you make that trip down into the area. First round maybe later morning, midday, and then a second round during the afternoon possibly as well. Blake wondering here, is there for sure going to be 2 rounds? It's something that is still in question because, everything is fluid. We always say that. The weather is fluid. The weather's fluid. The weather models are constantly changing. They're constantly processing new information that they're all gathering. So is there for sure going to be 2 rounds? No. Nobody could say that with confidence. There's no way to, tell you right now 100% there's going to be 2 rounds. But based off the weather model data that we have right now coming in this evening, they are supportive. It is supportive of that first round of activity weakening as it moves up into northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin during the morning and midday hours on Friday, and then it is very supportive of a second round developing and then moving eastward across the state as the main round during the day and into the evening as well. So like I said, can't guarantee there's going to be 2 rounds, but based on the current information we have right now as of this discussion, the support is there for 2 rounds of activity. Karen checking in. This is for tomorrow and tomorrow night. This is not for tonight. As you can see here at the top of the screen, this is for Friday morning through Friday night. I see a bunch more folks tuning in here from the Chicago metro area. Once again, you may potentially, not guaranteed, but may potentially see 2 rounds of activity. The first round could be weakening as it comes through during the morning, later morning and midday across the Chicago metro area, and then maybe a second round during the afternoon-ish kind of time frame. Christina checking in here, wondering what the wind speeds will be with the storms. That's something we can't tell you because the storms don't exist yet. We could tell you there's going to be the potential for damaging winds, but we can't tell you exactly, what the specific wind speeds out of the storms will be in this case. Chris checking in from down in Charleston. That's down here in kind of southeastern Illinois. Your threat will probably come more so sometime mid-afternoon Friday into early Friday night down in that portion of Illinois down there. Thank you for tuning in. Misha checking in from back out in Prophetstown. I think we had someone just a couple minutes ago from Prophetstown as well. You could be dealing with potentially 2 rounds of activity for your Friday as well. Connor checking in from South Haven, Michigan for Sunday. Not going to get into the weekend just yet because we have tomorrow to deal with. But yes, there is another storm system coming in, and it will bring another round of severe weather potential for Saturday night and into Sunday. And we're going to start to touch on that much, much more as we get into the day tomorrow and Saturday and obviously Sunday as well. Cindy checking in from Clifton, which I believe is out in this area. We got Leland checking in with Kathy. Lindsay up in the Schaumburg, Waukegan areas. Yes, you are all in for a severe weather threat tomorrow. But once again, if you're in southern Illinois, the blue color, that's a level 1 severe thunderstorm risk. That means you could see isolated severe thunderstorms across southern Illinois. And then for the rest of the state in this green color, northern central Illinois, that is the chance of widely scattered severe thunderstorms. So that is what the forecast is. And once again, for timing, if you're up here in northern Illinois, Friday morning into Friday evening. If you're down here, if you are down here across pretty much the rest of the state, your threat is more so midday Friday into early Friday night as it looks at this point in time. So just to give you a little bit of thinking regarding some timing. Stacy checking in from Ottawa. We got Joe and Beecher. Yep, all of you folks as well. You'll be dealing with that severe weather threat as we head into the day on Friday as well. Also, we got Jeff checking up from up in Marengo. You can see you're in a level 2 severe weather risk as well. Lisa checking in here, wondering if there will be any watches tomorrow. Probably. Obviously, we're not the ones that issue the watches. That's the Storm Prediction Center. But yes, could be dealing with some watches across the state for tomorrow. We'll pass that information along tomorrow as is needed. Sarah checking in, traveling from DuPage County out to Ottawa tomorrow evening. That's right around this area, going to right around that area. Yep, you could be dealing with potentially some lingering threat of some rain, thunderstorms, and severe weather around that time as well. Jeff checking in from Sycamore tonight. I'll answer it. Yeah, you could be dealing with maybe 2 rounds up around your area, maybe 1 round earlier in the day, another round later in the day. We'll have to exactly see how it pans out. Like I said, 2 rounds of activity is not guaranteed yet. Most of the weather model guidance coming in this afternoon and this evening supports 2 rounds of activity, but that doesn't mean it's going to change overnight tonight. So that's why I'm not guaranteeing 2 rounds of activity will occur, but based on what we're getting right now off of the weather models, there is the potential for 2 rounds of activity. And once again, the first round of activity would be in a weakening phase across northern parts of the state Friday morning into the middle of the day on Friday, and then that potential for a second round of activity would kind of develop out here and then shoot across much of the state of Illinois through the afternoon and evening hours on Friday. Kat checking in here, going to be driving from St. Charles to Madison, 2:30 in the afternoon. You could be dealing with some activity, but you might kind of be in between at that time. By the time we get to early afternoon, that first round should be out of the area, and if that second round develops, it might be just off to the west still. So you might be lucky on your way of travels up across that area. Margot wondering if the risk level could get upgraded at all. Right now, what we have on the screen is pretty good confidence at this point in time. Could we still see some changes? Yes. You know, the weather is ever changing. We will still have one more forecast update tomorrow morning, so you never know what could change overnight. Carrie wondering, what weather models do we use? We pretty much use most of what we have available to us. We use the European model, the GFS model, and the NAM model. Those are our more so global or at least national models that we use. And then we use a lot of high-resolution, short-term, convective allowing models as well, such as the HRRR model, the RAP, which is the Rapid Refresh model. We also use a couple other high-resolution. There's a couple of models through the NSSL. So there's a couple different models. There's also the RRFS, which is an experimental newer model that's eventually going to be implemented operationally down the road here within the next year or so. So we do, use a lot of models when we, come up with these forecasts. We have the same information that the Storm Prediction Center gets. So all the models that they see are the same models that we see. Now, obviously, sometimes our forecasts do differ based on different confidence levels and exactly, how we think the models are playing things. Do we think they're a little more accurate than usual, or do we think they're performing terribly? So that's why forecasts differ sometimes. But yes, we do use most of the models that we have at our disposal. Now, do we look at as many models as we do in the winter, or do we look at the same models? No. For example, in the winter, we also like to look at the Canadian models as well. In the summer, during the warm season with severe weather, personally, I don't look at them as much because they're not as useful. But in the winter, sometimes they have slightly more use, or even the EUCMET model, which is another European model. That one we look at more so in the winter, but not as much during the warm season for severe weather forecasting. As much, that is. Sometimes we do glance at it. So, we do look at a lot of models out there to come up with our forecast information. Veronica wondering about between 11 and 2 tomorrow for the Coal City area. That first round of activity could be working through during the early portion of that time frame, but it may be weakening, like I said before. Steve checking in from out in Joe Daviess County. You folks out there were hit pretty hard on Tuesday. I know not everybody across the state saw severe weather on Tuesday, but northwestern Illinois sure saw the severe weather on Tuesday, and there was some very significant damaging winds on Tuesday up across parts of northwestern Illinois, including the Joe Daviess County area. So yeah, you could see more severe weather tomorrow, potentially 1 or 2 rounds of activity around your area. Peyton checking in here, wondering if the Storm Prediction Center may go enhanced for tomorrow. I wouldn't rule it out. I also wouldn't say it's totally likely either. So I'll give it a 50-50 shot that they might upgrade to an enhanced risk, which is their level 3 risk, because they use a number scale as well. So Storm Prediction Center level 1 is a marginal, level 2 is a slight, and Storm Prediction Center level 3 is an enhanced. So could they go to their level 3 risk? Maybe. I'll give it a 50-50 shot. Based on the information we're seeing come in this afternoon and evening, that is kind of why we included this hatched area out here for maybe the chance of a significant severe thunderstorm out across those areas. Things are looking a little bit better tonight for severe weather than they did even earlier today. But like I said, we still have all of tonight to go and all of tomorrow morning, so if the weather wants to change and the forecast wants to change, it'll just do that. CC checking in here, wondering if Chicago gets a first round in the morning, will it make the second round less severe? Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. Right now it looks like if that first round does move through, it will be in a weakening phase and it would not have much impact on a second round of potential activity. Mary checking in, wondering about tornado threat. Overall on Friday, damaging winds is by far going to be the biggest threat on Friday. Easily, damaging winds the biggest threat on Friday. But we could also see some hail with some of the severe weather on Friday, and also could see an isolated tornado threat somewhere. If you had to ask me where I think right now the best chance of maybe an isolated tornado threat would be, it would be out here across northwestern and western Illinois. But once again, at this point in time, it looks like an isolated tornado threat at this point in time. Jeff, thank you for that comment. Appreciate it. Maggie checking in from up in the Woodstock area near the border. Timing on that first round could be anywhere from, if it does move across this area, if it's still alive and it's still moving across that first round of activity, it would be more so during the mid-morning to midday time frame, roughly. Mary checking in for Marseilles. That's right here in this region here. Yep, you're going to be in that severe weather risk as well. Maybe a first round of activity, though it might be just here north earlier in the day, and then potentially a second round later in the day. And let's go back through the weather model here once again. I'm showing you the HRRR model. It seems to have finally come around to an idea that's similar to many of the other weather models at this point in time. The environments on all of the weather models are pretty much similar. So there's not a question of environmental conditions. It's just more so of, is there going to be one round or is there going to be two rounds? And the HRRR model has come around to the idea, which many of the other models have had, in that we're going to see this first round of activity. We're going to see this first round of activity here come across Iowa and start to move into parts of northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin as we work through the early, and now we're in the mid-morning here. You can see it's in a weakening phase as it's continuing to move off towards the northeast. This is right around, this is roughly 10 o'clock in the morning here. Roughly 10 o'clock in the morning, that's where this particular model has it. But as you can see, As it moves towards the east-northeast here, this is it right here. It weakens as it moves across parts of northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin through the late morning, midday hours. And then quickly behind it here, this is what many of the other forecast models have been suggesting would be possible, and that is then a second main round of activity then develops during the midday, early afternoon across eastern Iowa, Missouri, northwestern, western Illinois. And then you'll see here, as I'm about to move forward, you can see how that activity then moves off towards the east across the state and is scattered about from time to time here. And then as we work into Friday night here, this is working into midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You can see how things quiet down and dry out across the region. All right here, so with that said, in summary, we are dealing with another severe weather threat coming up across the state on Friday. Peyton, yes, the HRRR is initializing things pretty quickly, pretty well right now across Nebraska, so we'll see how it handles things overnight tonight. But once again, dealing with a severe weather risk on Friday, there is the potential for 1 or 2 rounds of activity across the state on Friday, and if 2 rounds do occur, both rounds could have severe weather potential. As you can see here, level 1 severe thunderstorm risk across southern Illinois. That means isolated severe thunderstorm potential down there. For the rest of the folks across much of the rest of the state, northern, central Illinois, widely scattered severe weather threat on Friday. And the general time frame is Friday morning into Friday night. Now, for you folks across northern Illinois, you may get a first round of activity during the morning and midday on Friday, but it could be weakening, but even with that, it could have some severe threat. Then it is possible that we could see a second round develop, and then that would be the main round, and that would move across much of the state during the afternoon and evening and into early Friday night as well. So that's how things are looking right now based on the information that we have coming in this afternoon and evening. So that is how we have updated our forecast tonight. We will be back on in the morning, tomorrow morning being Friday morning, obviously, for another full forecast update, and then we'll be around all day tomorrow to provide updates as needed. So with that said, thank you all for tuning in this evening. You all have a great night, and we will see you on the forecast update tomorrow morning.